Hi. Um, uh, My name is Charan. I'm into software for almost 10 years of time. After that, I started training people both in corporate, in lateral batches and fresher batches. I was also trained as a lecturer in a couple of colleges. Uh, so today we'll be talking about hashmap. So let us take out. So hashmap, hashmap is is a class which is derived or implemented from the map interface. The map interface works on the concept of key and values. Now the thing is that, so if I have a key, okay, it is identified by value. That means to say I have a value or an object where it is, if I want to insert, retrieve, delete, everything is based on this key. For example, now if I say an employee, right? So I will say 101 as the employee ID, right? And so now I say Charan is the name, department is IT, and I'm designated as full stack developer. Let's say I will do this. Now, if I want to retrieve the entire record of this data, it is depending on the ID. I will say, hey, get me the details of ID number 101. So this is what is the record is completely depending on ID. Now the thing is that similarly, so this key is the main entry point where this is used to retrieve the entire data, or it will store the entire record on this particular key value. So actually I take classes. So when you come to classes, I will talk about hashing, then hash table, means table, and then how exactly hash store generates the hash code, and how exactly the bucket system is there, and how exactly internal it works, and how the duplicates are removed in means hash map and other things like that. What is hash table, what is the difference between hash table and hash map, and then there is some more things like advanced things like concurrency hash map, synchronized hash map as there. I'll also talk more about it here. I just want to introduce hash map and perform few operations on hash map. Okay, so in my class, like I will be talking in detail about it in terms of showing the presentation, and I'll giving the right assignments and make you develop and get you expertise in Java. Now let us move on with the program. Now I'll say public class test one. So this is the class, and I'll say public static void main string args. Now this is the entry point for your program. So this is the first function which gets executed when you run the program. Now what I'll do, I'll say set, sorry, not set, map. Okay, I will say integer and employee one. So now what is this integer? What is this employee one? So the thing is, integer is the key value. That is, I said like employee key. Okay, key value is integer, and this is the record I'm going to store. This is the key and this is the value. That means, or a record or a primitive data type, anything I can store here. But okay, this object is identified by this key. So if I say get me the value of this key, it will get you the value of this. Now what I'll do, I will say employee map equal to new hash map. So integer is the key and employee one. Okay, so I will close this now. Okay, now let me import map. Now it is saying that I don't know what is employee one. Let us create one employee one. I'll say employee class I've already created, so that is why I'm creating employee one. Okay, I'll say int id, string name, then string department, and string designation. So what I will do, I will create the constructor with arguments now, source and constructor with fields. Okay, this is done. Then I will say uh, toString method. The advantage of toString method is that in case if I call with an object system.out.println that object, it prints the content of that variable. Now hash map, let's import this. Okay, now we have created a map structure saying that it is the key value is the integer data and it is holding the what is it called as the object. Now if I say okay, let us add a few records like an employee one, emp1, I will say as new employee one, I'll say 101, Charan IT full stack developer. Actually here I'll be just showing in this video, I'll be just showing what is hashmap, how to operate with hashmap, how to add the records, retrieve the records, delete the records. That's it. In my class I'll be having a presentation. We'll be showing about what is a map, what are the different classes derived from, like or implementing map interface. So what is hashing, what is hash, hash table, and what is a table mechanism, right? So all these things we'll be talking in detail. This is like I just want to introduce the hash map. That is why this video. Now let us add few more records. Let's say object employee 2, 3, and 4, and 5. And I will say 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'll modify the names. I will say Pradeep. I'll say Anil. I'll say Rajiv. And I'll say Shiva. So these are the 5 objects I have created. Now what we will do, we will add these records inside this employee map. So as I said, this works on the principle of a key and value. Now I'll say employee map dot put is the function to add the records. I'll say emp1 dot id and emp1 I put. So I've added the employee one object, okay, with the key ID value of this one. So this object is identified by this identifier. That means if I want to retrieve this entire record, I will say, hey, hashmap, okay, get me the record for 101. So what it'll do, it will retrieve the entire record. Okay, so now it is better to have a unique values of the ID, because if you have a duplicate, then it will consider the second record. If you, let's say you have this, okay, let's say you have like this 101 and power. Let's say in this is the case, what happens? So you are saying that this record also one record. This is another record identified by 101. What hashmap will do? It will say, okay, Charan is not the record, and it will go and replace that 101 position with this one. So even if you give a duplicate IDs, then what happens? It will go overwrite on that. Now let us see. Let us add all the records to this one. Now I will say employee 2, employee 3, employee 4, employee 5. Now I'll say 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. Now I'll do one thing. What I'll do, there is two, let us display, iterate through and display the content of this hash map. Now there is two ways. Older way is that is using convert into set and iterate through and display. And from Java 8 version, you have like for each method is there, lambda function is there. Both ways you can use and display the content of this hash map. Now let us do one thing. Okay, I'll say set, then entry set, then integer employee 1. Now I'll say emp set, okay, I will say emp set, sorry, emp map dot entry set will be there. Yes. Okay. So what exactly this is telling? Okay, let's say this is import, and what is the problem? Okay. Right, it is entry, not entry set. So what exactly you're telling? You are getting entry set, and you are telling this set would be in the format of integer and employee one. Now what I'll do, I'll say for, okay, um, I will say employee one emp colon emp set. So now it has to replace with this. Yeah. So entry, this emp is also in this format. Okay, now I'll iterate. So what it will happen? Charan, Pradeep, Anil, Rajiv, and Shiva. One more characteristics or a behavior of hash set is that it will, the way you insert the data, it is not expected to retrieve in the same fashion. It is like Charan, Pradeep, Anil, Rajiv, and Shiva. When you run through that, it may be in a jumbled up manner. Okay, now you see that Charan, Pradeep, Anil, Rajiv, and Shiva. Right now it is given the same way, but otherwise it is not expected that it will be in the same order. Now let's do one thing. So this is one way of displaying the data. Now what I'll do, I'll remove, I'll comment it out. Then in Java 8, there is something called as a for each method. I'll say employee map dot for each. Now as I said that it will have key and value pair. That is, this is a value is a record or object or employee object, whatever we have identified by key. Now this is a key and a value. Value is what? In our case, it is employee. Now let us print the same thing. So I will say value. I'll remove this. See, I should be getting the same output of this, but this is a little more sophisticated way. See, single rather than writing so many things, I can iterate and display it. Now let's see. Can you see this? Charan, Pradeep, Anil, Rajiv, and Shiva. It is like the same thing. Now let us do one thing. Now let us remove. Okay. For this, let us, there is a remove function or get function is there. Get function, if I pass the ID, it will return that particular object. Now I'll comment out this portion. Now what I'll do here, I will say employee one employee object equal to emp map dot get. I will say okay, sure, get me the record for 105, or I would say that em or 105. I'll say fine. So in that case, what it'll do for us, like, this employee 5, that is 105, is identified by this record, Shiva. Now let us say, I will say employee record with the key of 105 is, now let us say, okay, now I'll say employee obj. Now what we should get? We should get this particular record. Let's run and see whether we get that or not. Okay, see here, employee record with the key of 105 is employee 1. Okay, Shiva record is displayed. Now this is, so what and all we did. Now, so we looked at what is hash map. Then we looked at, okay, put function, okay, places, okay, and means adds the record in the hash map object. Then we also looked at what is that, like, we looked at set way using set and for each, both ways we looked at displaying data. And then we use the, sorry, we use the get method to retrieve the object from hash map. Then what we will do, we will right now use remove method. We will remove one record. Let's say, let's remove something called as Rajiv. Now I will comment out this portion so that we will be able to see only this one. Now what I'll do, I will say emp map dot remove. Now I will say 104, or I would want emp 4 dot id, whatever is the data I would want to remove that. Now what I'll do, I will use this the same stuff, or I will type again. Let's say emp map dot for each. Then it has a key and value pair. That is, key is where the object is identified, and we can retrieve the value of an object with the key value. Key is a main, right? And it is also used to generate the hash, like, hashing table mechanism and all those things, right? uh, I'm not talking about hashing and how does it work internally, other things. In my regular classes, I'll be talking about it with presentation and PPT and other things like that. Here, I just want to show hash map, retrieve the data, display the data, get the data, and remove the data. Now, what I'll say system.out.println value, that is a record. So that means what we should get all the records except Rajiv. Let's see whether we will get or not. Yeah, see Charan, Pradeep, Anil, Shiva. Rajiv is 104 is missing between this one. Okay, so that is what about the hash map. If you have any questions or doubts or anything, you can reach me out at K. Okay, before that, what is that? We have the remove function to uh, remove, right? Remove the object from hash map, right? So if you have any questions or doubts or anything, you can reach me out at kcharankumar@gmail.com. Thank you so much.